Woo! The Houston Texans. Oh, God. Oh. There are dumpster fires in the NFL, and the Houston Texans certainly are one of them. And for Texans fans, it's got to be pure pain. Because over 2 decades, you've seen a lot of crappy football. You watched Andre Johnson's career basically be wasted there. You watched as J.J. Watt's run was basically wasted there. You watched as Bob ran the organization into the fucking ground. And here you sit in 2022, and the one thing that you had to latch onto was, well, it went south with Deshaun Watson, but at least they traded him away, got a shit ton of draft capital, got the Browns to drop their pants. You can move on, and you can potentially be positioned really well in a division that's not so strong. So, just tank this year and get that number 1 overall pick. And they were so close. So close. And it was ultimately self-inflicted reasons why the Texans fans had that goal snatched away from them. With the Texans winning 2 of their last 3 in the division against Tennessee and Indianapolis, both on the road. Like, go fucking figure, right? I don't give a shit, though. All I've got to say is Lovie Smith was like a freaking sabotage act. The Bears sent him to Houston. He stayed there in Houston. He got hired, promoted within in Houston for one job, one mission, and he fucking delivered. He said, no, the Texans are going to win week 18, beat the Colts, screw that draft position, tell me how my ass tastes. You're welcome, Chicago. Lovey. Love you forever. Because what a gift it was. What a gift it was. But still, another year the Texans sucked. Another year that they had a one-and-done head coach. And now they're starting all over again. So when you ask, well, what went wrong with this team this year? There was a lot, obviously. The offense stunk. They were 30th in points scored, 31st in total yards. They only scored 21 or more points 4 times this past season. That's it. Their defense stunk too, not to be left out. 32nd against the run. That's butt naked last in the league. 30th in yards allowed. 27th in points allowed. So pretty consistently suck as well. Had 9 games where they gave up 27 or more points defensively as a team. That gets the job done. Davis Mills, who maybe the Texans and their fans had a little bit of an excitement for in year 2. He clearly established that he's not the dude at quarterback. It's another year, another head coach fired after 1 season. And then obviously the final death knell there, losing out on the number 1 overall pick in the last week of the season. That's pain. That's misery. That's Houston Texans all the way, baby. What went right, though? I'm going to flip back to the what went wrong and say it's also a positive. Davis Mills proved he's not that dude at quarterback. He eliminated doubt. He's a backup. He's not a long-term starter. So while it's disappointing on the one hand for the Texans, maybe you can say, hey, this is the guy we took in the 3rd round. He could be that dude. Like, it saves us in the future. We can build around him. That sucks that he didn't work out, but at least now you know. You clearly, truly know. You've removed all doubt. You know you have to move on, and that can be a very big positive. They also went 3-2-1 in the AFC South. So, yeah, they didn't beat any fucking buddy else. But when you think about the old kind of school thinking of, you got to beat your teams within the division. Well, the Texans actually did that in 2022. So, if you can do a little bit better in your division in 2023, beat a couple of non-AFC South teams in 2023, you could have an outside shot at the playoffs. Who knows? Who knows? And they still ended up with the number 2 overall pick in the draft, and overall they still have a powerful position in the draft. I mean, when you look at them, they've got picks 2 and 12 in round 1. They've got pick 34 in round 2. They've got 2 picks in round 3 and 7 picks total on day 3. Two in round 3, 7 picks on day 3. Sorry, it's very early while I'm recording this. Bottom line is the Houston Texans should be very well positioned when it comes to the draft. And now they go and hire another head coach. This time it's former Houston Texan, most recently defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, DeMeco Ryans, and makes you wonder, is 3rd time the charm? It's your 3rd time hiring a head coach in 3 off-season cycles. Is this going to work? Well, Time will tell, right? They are certainly going against the grain to hire a defensive-minded head coach in the current NFL landscape, especially since you just fired a defensive-minded head coach. That's interesting, curious, a little odd to me. But if you were going to go with one in this cycle, I think DeMeco Ryans probably was that dude. I get a sense like he's got that leadership quality. He understands what it's like to be a player. Even when you think back to him being a player, he's a cerebral player. Like, he's a guy that I have confidence that the Texans hired at least a decent head coach. I truly feel that. Would he have been my hire? Maybe, maybe not. But I certainly understand the ties to the Texans organization. There could be something there to say, hey, this job could mean more to him. And it certainly could. And this is going to be a busy offseason for the Texans. They've got about $40 million or so in cap space I think they're going to end up with. So they've got a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of room to add some people in the offseason, and they certainly need to do that. I've already talked about the draft pick capital they have available. I've seen some talk, those have been curious, and maybe it ties into the thought of DeMeco Ryans being a defensive-minded head coach, that they might want a Will Anderson or Jalen Carter or somebody on defense with that second overall pick, and maybe they're not as consumed with getting a quarterback. And I say this. I understand where you're coming from, but at this point in time, that feels butt-ass wrong. The reason I say that is DeMeco Ryans is perfectly positioned to fully understand the importance of the quarterback position and what happens when you do have one and when you don't. He spent the past couple of years in San Francisco. If San Francisco was better at the quarterback position, we would be talking about them as a dynasty in the modern NFL, not the Kansas City Chiefs. You don't think so? Really? If they were better than Jimmy G at the quarterback position, they beat the Chiefs in 2019. They certainly, if they had a better quarterback last season, they certainly would have beaten the Rams in the NFC Championship game, and they probably would have beaten the Bengals in the Super Bowl. They might have gotten to the Super Bowl this go-around. Like, it's not unfathomable to think that the 49ers have left 2 or 3 Super Bowl titles on the plate, or on the table, because they were so mid to poor at the quarterback position. DeMeco Ryans comes from a situation where he has to know that. He understands it. He gets it. So as much as he might have some inclinations towards the defensive side of the ball and having a certain type of philosophy, he is fucking uniquely positioned to understand just how key and critical quarterback is. So quarterback has to be the name of the game for the Houston Texans. You can't possibly risk it by rolling the dice and waiting until 2024. You've got to hope that guy is there in this draft, and you've got to find a way to get it done. That's the only choice. You've got to get the quarterback of the future out of this draft. And then you must build around that young quarterback. Now, granted, they need better talent all over the field, but it wouldn't surprise me like if they took a quarterback at 2, or they traded up with the Bears at 1 to take the quarterback that they want, or they just stayed at 2, took the quarterback that they want, then turn around at 12, take an offensive lineman or take a wide receiver, take a tight end. That wouldn't surprise me. That's what they should be doing. Need to invest heavily on the offense. But I won't knock them so much, knowing they're bringing in DeMeco Ryans, saying, hey, if they invest a couple of those day 2, day 3 picks on defensive guys, that makes sense. You need guys that can run DeMeco Ryans 4-3 scheme. Totally get that. It's just have to understand it's offense first. Not offense only, not offense exclusively, but it is about getting that quarterback and then building the offense around him, it being the top priority. Not the only one, but it is the top priority. And maybe the good thing is for the Texans is, you know, you've got the Colts have all types of uncertainty. The Titans have uncertainty there too. The Jaguars had a really nice season in 2022, but it wasn't like they were world beaters. Like, this division can be had in the future, but you got to get it right this offseason. This is where it starts. So it should still be a somewhat exciting time for a Houston Texans fan, but I got to imagine you're dying to find out who's going to be the quarterback under center in Week 1 in 2023, as you should be, because that's the only ultimate question that matters right now for this team. They have to get that quarterback in this draft, no matter who it may be.